Hello once again, my fluffs and fuzzies. Fenni here with another speed paint video for the pleasure of your ocular orbs. In this video, we have Mako and Sakujin, a lovely piece of their adorable characters together in this double whammy video. Unfortunately, the sketch phase portion of this piece was nowhere to be found upon attempting to edit, so either I forgot to press record on it or it just disappeared somehow. Apologies for that. But I do hope that you enjoy seeing the rest of the process. To my viewers who have been waiting on the edges of your seats in anticipation for my next video drop, apologies for the long radio silence. Some things have gotten a bit crazy for me in my home life, so I've been a little too busy to do editing on these videos. But expect to see at least a weekly video from now on if at all possible. That being said, sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. Hello there, my fluffs and my fuzzies. I have with me here today Mako Frostfang and Sakujin, who are the owners of the characters that are featured in this week's Speed Paint video. And we're going to talk a little bit today about their inspirations for their characters and their backgrounds, where they come from, and what they mean to the owners individually. Today we're going to do a little something different. We have a double interview for you guys today. Mako, Sakujin, take it away.
My character June here is actually not the first time I've had a character by this name. I decided about 2 or 3 years ago to remake her, and all I could remember of the original was that she was named June and was a teacher. So from there I just randomly decided to make her an otter and ran across Sakujin again after we'd been separated for, I want to say, 3 years, and we just hit it off again. Alright, go ahead, Sok.
Sakujin is my character. I originally conceived the concept when I was playing D&D with a group of my friends, and after the game had long since ended, I took the base concept for what I made and took it over to Arcadia and then made the character on there, and thus evolved and took some unique twists before I met June here.
Okay, so each of your characters has had several different iterations of themselves and has evolved over a period of time. How long have you been developing each of these individual characters?
As far as June, I'd say her development restarted when I recreated her because, like I said, I couldn't remember much of the original version.
How long have you been developing this character once you stopped shelving her and you couldn't remember what was originally supposed to be the character?
I'd actually started developing her for the last 3 or 5 years, and in fact they are wearing fire and ice themed dresses in this picture as not a coincidence, because part of her development is she had developed ice powers from interacting with a, if I remember correctly, it was a drunken Glaceon in this case.
That's interesting, and you know, the whole ice powers thing is a pretty popular trope when it comes to developing characters with specifically magical powers, or, in my character's case, demonic powers, because my character actually has ice-related abilities as well.
Well, it's the same with my persona as well. In his case, he actually acquired them from being adopted into the Frost family.
So, the Frost family, does your otter character have anything particularly to do with that clan, so to speak?
No, she doesn't. Not directly. I mean, my characters do sort of know each other, but they don't interact directly often.
Same universe, not necessarily associated.
Exactly, unless I make a point of saying they are related.
Alright. And, Sakujin.
Development for Sakujin started back in 2008, and what she is now.
So almost 10 years.
She's one of my longest running characters I've ever made.
That is really cool. Now, you did say that your character is a chimera. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
What gave you the inspiration to choose the animals that you mixed for this particular chimera?
I chose, as I was making her, I pulled up the actual backstory I was using for my D&D character and pulled the things that they had interacted with, and they themselves took aspects of creatures and to apply them to himself, and I literally just translated over all the creatures that I had applied to create the actual form she had. I had a spirit guide of a bunny, I had ties with dragon, I had the guidance of a lupine, and resilience of a dinosaur I was familiar with, and thus put all pieces together, and there she is.
That's definitely an interesting way to go about developing a character. When you did decide to pick so many different characters to mix together for this one particular entity, what was your differentiation between making it a chimera or just making it an out-and-out hybrid?
The chimera itself, when I took those actual bases and I made this individual Sockogene base, I took and built the entire race of this chimera, her lineage, her history, her people, their society, what happened to them, and why she was pronounced the last one.
What would you say is the difference between her being a chimera as a species and just being a straight-up hybrid?
The chimeran species itself is, as they developed themselves, their body naturally just had a morphic structure to them that took on the aspects of, as they developed them genetically themselves, as they had a big mesh of genetics inside of them already, rather than just being a higher mesh of this slept with this or this was fused with that. It's their innately inside them is that moldation that would change and morph based upon how and what they interacted with, making it solid form.
So as they develop and grow up, depending on the environmental factors and what they do to hone their own skills, etc., determine what they look like in the end.
Yes, I even have little charts and dice rolls I have to make for each new development for the character that I follow and with strict rules and guidelines to it.
So instead of it being solely based on genetics, whereas you'd get this much DNA from your father, this much DNA from your mother, and then so much from your grandparent ancestry, that sort of thing, it's all determined in luck of the draw, basically, depending on how much experience you get in each area.
To an extent, there are certain modifiers I put in place that go with it based upon previous roles and previous parts of it, but it's a give and take of both sides. I like a bit of chance with everything.
Okay. And what is the backstory about how your Chimera character and this ice otter, essentially, met and why they would be interacting in the way to see them interacting in this piece?
Oof, that's a bit of a long story. Actually, that stemmed from basically us stumbling across each other again, because we did meet previously on another character of mine that I've actually since stopped playing, regularly at least. And we just started getting closer and closer, and eventually, albeit it started as a joke, June ended up becoming Sokogen's pet, and then developed into mates from there.
They summed up a nice random chance meeting of an old friend, and slowly the world changes around that.
So they became reacquainted, and then through a process of getting to know each other and different interactions that they've had over the course of a period of time, they developed a bond and became closer and closer in roleplay, and now they are essentially an item.
Yep, that's short of it.
Well, I guess that's true what they say. Opposites do attract, huh?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
So, okay, as far as the character design themselves, what would you say are the top 3 things people get wrong about your character when they draw them for each character in question here?
Well, for June, considering this is only the second time she's actually been drawn, there's really not a whole lot that has been set in stone since, aside from the collar, ring, and her glasses. Albeit the color of those can change depending on artist, as far as I'm concerned. The glasses, I mean. But beyond that, the only thing that's been gotten wrong in the past was misinterpretation of the hairstyle I wanted for her.
Would you say I got that relatively close?
You got it a lot closer than the previous artist did. It didn't occur to me until after you had already finished the inks, but I realized I had actually wanted you to change the hairstyle, so it was a little too late at that point.
Well, the next time you have me draw that particular character, let me know what changes you'd like to the hair, and I'll fix that for you. The same question toward you, Sokogen. What would you say the top 3 things people get wrong when drawing your character are?
First off, the face. Most people either mistake the kin face for having less of a more canine and more of a rabbit, or, as in most cases, they forget the nose spikes, which I don't normally ask people to do because it's a lot of small detail for something that on some pictures isn't really necessary and can get in the way.
And as I recall, they're supposed to be retractable anyway.
Yeah, hence I made it retractable because most people kept forgetting them, but it works.
Considering they weren't showing up on the reference material that you gave me, I wasn't aware she was supposed to have...
Yeah, I have a very detailed one that's I use for like character reference sheet that's very highly detailed work, and hence that's one time I really asked for it because it's not something that I really look to have done all the time.
That's understandable, though if you do have a set reference sheet, whenever you do work with an artist, it's always best to use your set reference sheet. Now, here's a question. What are your thoughts on shaded reference sheets?
Shitty ones, I don't like those. Hence, it's like one of the things I'll probably be getting, because I really like your art style for her, is I'll probably be getting something like that done by you.
Well, thank you. I will say, though, as far as shading on a reference sheet is concerned, it's okay to get an alternate version with shading on it, but for usage as far as showing an artist what to do on an art piece from your reference, getting a flat color reference is usually the way to go, simply because it makes it easier to get a consistent and clean color pick.
Alright, I didn't know that. But a third thing, though, because before we get off topic, that most of you get wrong is her tattoo she has, which you have all her spots covered where she only has her tattoos, so couldn't get that wrong. Beauty of clothing, and not having a tough arm shown, as far as, the front part.
It's interesting you would bring up tattoo on a furred critter. How do you justify a tattoo that shows up on top of fur?
They're arcane tattoos.
So in other words, it's magic, okay?
No, I pulled it from D&D, and she's a magic-based user, so kept pulling over.
So yeah, it's magic-based.
Yeah, like when if I do a Siphon Net, I use nanites for detail work of coloration, but magic's fine enough for me.
I mean, fair enough. If you want to say it's explained by magic, that's at least one way to, to explore that possibility and make it at least a little bit more understandable that it would be that way. Now, when I see people that are using characters that are not magic-based, and they just have this big, complicated tribal marking or dragon wings or whatever on their fur, that does not make sense to me. They either have to shave that portion to make it visible, or spend a whole lot of time every day airbrushing in that level of detail on their fur.
Yeah, because the only other way you have it is by natural marking, just luckily drawing your genetical level of having that, but that's once again, that's just about as etching as can be.
I've heard one explanation on it being basically it is something that permanently dyes the hair follicle as well.
It's once again a heavy science or a heavy magic.
Even permanently dyeing a follicle wouldn't justify that level of detail in a marking.
Hence
Yeah.
I say heavy science.
In other words, I want this tattoo and physics be damned.
Pretty much.
Basically, yeah.
I could see that on a character that has maybe scales or...
Yeah, that's what the arms are supposed to be, the draconic arm.
Right, and that's understandable because scales would naturally, in some cases, have intricate patterning on them. Like if you look at some snake markings, coral snakes, for instance, would have the banded markings, or you'd see stuff like with amphibians, you've seen poison dart frogs, and you'd see salamanders with brightly colored patterns and intricate details on those. But to like put a Celtic knot on a character's fur, yeah.
A lot of difficulty with that as well, but you can also see it on certain dinosaur cartoons like that, where they can engorge an area with blood. They could have this big pattern that displays out.
That also wouldn't work if it was covered in fur because you wouldn't see the pattern.
Nope.
I mean, maybe it's just a suspension of disbelief in some cases, and yeah, I mean, anybody who wants to be creative, it's your character, more power to you if that's what you want. I just prefer to lean more toward a believable type of color pattern for my particular characters.
Hence why I have black and gray, because if it's normally stealth-based or usually working at night, you don't want to be seen with bright flashiness.
I mean, that is kind of defeated with your red streaks in your hair, but I get what you're saying. And you can cover that up with a hat.
Yeah, that you can.
Or if you want to be really, really interesting, I have floppy ears. Enjoy.
Have you ever had your character drawn with the ears tied back like a ponytail?
No, I have not. Never.
I have actually had some bunny characters have me draw them with their ears tied back in a ponytail.
I always would find that too painful.
It looks like it would be, but in some cases I can see where it would kind of work if it's a loose ponytail.
Don't use the scrunchy type ponytail.
Or if it's for an athletic type application like Lola Bunny for the classic example.
Pretty much, yeah.
I don't know about that. I'd rather have them out, because then you get more sensory data, Keep more aware of what's going on around you. That's what the ears are for.
Well, it also depends on how stiff their ears are as well.
Yeah, most of the characters that I've seen that have asked me to draw them with their ears tied back like that have had droopy, floppy ears.
Target's meant to be very alert for ears. Like I said, everything about her is meant for D&D. Combat's a big part of D&D, and I kept that in mind when going through the stuff for her.
And that's fair enough. Now, moving on to another topic here, another question that I generally tend to ask in these interviews is, what do you look for when you commission an artist? What are the top 3 things that draw you in and convince you to work with an artist for the first time? And what factors do you keep in mind that keeps you coming back?
Well, I would say overall friendliness and willingness to work with a client, as well as not being, for lack of a better way of describing it, difficult when asked to make corrections, especially if they have asked for approval on a certain step of the process. I'd say the other would be I just like their general art style. As far as what I look for in a particular piece, usually has to do with what I'm in the mood for at that particular time, more than anything.
That's understandable.
I have some as well as Mako here, and that one thing is how the artist responds to the work that they're doing, because with working with chimeras, I like making monsters a lot, and I have the various degree of them. A lot of people can find difficulties in having such a clashing components be together, or some heavily detailed that may seem little to them but important to me, and seeing how they are willing to work with that and be able to pull that out is one of the key factors, as well as working with someone who I like their ideas of interpretation of what I'm explaining to them, because art is not just a, hey, this is what it is, but also the interpretation of the person drawing it or making it, and how they interpret what you're saying to create it. Having a good unison in both their views and mine goes a long way in any choice.
So there's a level of subjectiveness to it.
One thing I do like to do with some is, like, I have another art from other people that it's a lot much like detailed work and looks very goofy and silly, but at this time the art was meant to be funny and nice that way, and I liked it. Would I want it for all the time? Yeah. Would I want it all the time? No, but at the same time the art itself went that direction, and it was a lovely thing to see, and see how they interpreted what I had created in my own mind and image, and how they viewed it.
I think in the end it comes down to whether or not the commissioner enjoys the piece. Even if it's not super consistent with what they would normally intend to buy, or what they had in mind to begin with when they started, as long as they come out with a product in the end that the customer is not only satisfied, but happy with and enjoying, then I think that would qualify as a good piece.
And I can agree with that very heavily, because what my other artists have is just literally my character is staring at the other artist's character as they're just looking, going like, I made a mistake. Uh-oh. That's all it is. It's just like going, you made a mistake. And it's funny to look at because it's the epitome of, I look sorry, the other one looks like it's laughing at it.
Yeah, I kind of agree on that as well. And really, that's part of the reason I ended up making my persona Mako a shapeshifter, because people kept getting certain details on him wrong. For example, the most common one is they would forget his gills on his neck, which, given he looks more wolf than shark, is understandable.
So, Fenn, what do you like to draw as far as base characters go?
As in, do I have a preference?
Mm-hmm. What do you enjoy?
I enjoy a lot of fantasy-related imagery. I like things that fall in the realm of not necessarily just furry or anthropomorphic, but things with a creative premise. Something that I can really put my creativity into and play around with. The more freedom, the better. If somebody wants to just throw me a character or two and be like, keyword, 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 go. That's what I love the best. I don't know if you saw the interview that I did with the Nerdy Rat, but when I did their picture of Pixel the Goblin, they literally handed me the character and they said, make something awesome revolving around her demon summon. And the rest was up to me.
Yeah, and that's one reason why I just decided with June's outfit in this piece, just give you a basic theme and let you design it from there. And I love the results with that.
I'm really glad you enjoyed that, because I do like designing outfits for characters a lot. Maybe not all the time something modern or anything like that, but I do have a soft spot for gypsy type apparel.
And that came across in this particular piece very well.
Whereas on the other hand, Sokagen gave me a specific dress type that they wanted and told me to put flames on it. So I gave them the specific dress type they wanted, and I put flames on it.
Well, originally I had a piece that I always wanted to use. I'd saved for just these special occasions, but with my main computer being down, I couldn't get that art, so I gotta go, well, hopefully she doesn't just make it gaudy, let's try for it.
I think I started out putting a little bit too much fire on the dress at the beginning, but it was kind of a necessary evil, because in order to tone it back a little bit, I had to use a soft eraser that would not take out everything at once like a hard eraser would, and it would leave enough scraps of the color there to look like little bits of ember floating up into the dress.
Yes, which I do very like that. It is much different than the original image I thought of, but I do like the way that came out at the end. I'm not gonna lie, when I saw the first rendition, I was like going, please no, come on. Okay, she's reducing it there, thank God.
Anytime you guys order from me, if you really want something changed, feel free to stop me in what I'm doing and be like, hey, if you're not going somewhere specific with this that's going to change it, I'm not enjoying what this looks like, can you tone that back, or, move this just a little bit or something. I don't mind making edits. The whole point of doing art for someone, especially if they're paying me, is to make sure they're getting a product that they enjoy that is representative of the characters that they've provided me with in order to draw.
You did do it. Before I had to say you were pretty much on point with it by the time I was going, I should probably say this thing. Oh, she started doing it. Never mind, they've got this. Let the artist work.
And that's the fun thing about streams, because sometimes people don't recognize the method to my madness. And I work in a really abstract frame of mind, so you'll see me lay out the skeleton of an image, and then once I've laid out the skeleton, I'll move all the way over into left field and start with something you wouldn't expect me to start with. I'll start adding the details to the clothes before I even draw the body on.
It turns out nice in the end, so Method of Madness works for me.
Same here.
Oh, I'm glad you think so. Now, this is about the point in the interview where I tend to start letting the customers ask questions. So if you have anything that you'd want to know about my process, or about how I do things, or even about my character in general, feel free to ask away.
How'd you do the gleam effect on the jewels? The ones on the dress or the gypsy wear you did for June, and on her ring and whatnot there.
Okay, that is a simple effect. What I did was I went onto another layer, and I turned that layer into an add glow layer, and then I took a regular pen tool set to about 8 thickness on the brush, and I set that to a very light version, like almost white version of the base color of the ring, and then I just added a couple of little dots where the light would be hitting it, and then from there I took the airbrush tool and set it to about a 10 and very lightly went around the outside edge of the ring to give it a little bit of a pop.
Alright.
I guess my question would be, is there anything new you tried with this particular piece?
Actually, there is. When I did your cell shading, normally my cell shading has a really hard edge to it. Like, you can see where the shadows end, the midtones begin, and the highlights begin. With your particular piece, I actually went in with the blending tool and set it to blur, and I softened the edges of that shading just a little bit to give it a more rounded effect instead of making it look angular and geometric.
So make it more gradual.
Mix them together a little bit.
It blurs the transition between the shades of color, so that it's not just, full stop, this is where the shadow ends, this is where the highlights begin. And in doing so, it creates more of a depthful effect and shows more directly where the lights are coming from.
You can really see it, I think, along Sucking's tail here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Actually can't think of anything else to ask at the moment.
Well, I have one small question.
Sure.
Would you consider doing more?
Absolutely.
Alright, so that's what I need to hear. Time to start monitoring my paychecks.
I mean, feel free to hit me up anytime you want to place an order. I take orders if I'm not working on stuff in my queue. I am doing new orders to be able to pay bills and whatnot on generally the last 3 days of the week. Generally Thursday, Friday, and Saturday is when I focus on nothing but new stuff.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind for the next something you get.
Sounds good. All you gotta do is let me know, and we can either schedule it for a stream slot, or we can set it up where I'll do it offline and deliver you works in progress that way. I am actually, shameless plug here, I am actually working with a Patreon page at this point, and I have updated all of my rewards, and some of my reward tiers actually include getting a fully done speed paint video that has been edited, sped up, and put to music as a Patreon reward once a month for the tier. There's also a tier for doing interviews with me about your commissions, as long as they're safe for work, where once a month you can get an interview done with me, and anyone who is a patron for as little as $5 a month will get their name featured at the end of my videos on the end card, and will get a special role assigned to them in my Discord server.
Alright, and that's going to be in the link below in this video, right?
Yep, that's going to be linked below in the video, and, you know, anyone that signs on can get any of these rewards once a month, and most of the rewards in the lower tiers actually stack. So the higher the tier, the more stuff you're going to get.
That sounds wonderful to me.
Awesome. Was there anything else that you guys wanted to make as far as statements about your characters, anything you want the viewers to be able to understand when they see your characters in this video, or anything that you have to say to me? What would you like to close out with today?
Well, I think the biggest point needs to be made is the fact that it should be kept in mind that the scaling between these two characters was adjusted to make this a better looking piece. Because otherwise, June would be right around Sokujin's waist, rather than closer to her shoulder.
So forehead to navel, huh?
Yeah.
She's a tall girl. I took everything in mind when I made it, including the rules in D&D, so I had to go with larger size. But I like it that way.
Yeah, I understand. I understand where you're coming from on that, and while I did try to keep to a size difference, going off of the size that Mako gave me, saying that the otter is supposed to be 6'1" and the chimera is supposed to be like 15 feet tall.
Yeah,
I prefer it this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no way to get that pose to look right. And on top of that, I wanted to stay away from the idea of it looking like she was dancing with a little kid.
That would probably be best.
Yes, I concur. Hence, I'm like going, I really like this image here. Normally, it sucks on 4 legs at times because she switches back and forth. So, hence, to me, this is perfect. I couldn't have asked for better.
So the next time you guys have me draw these characters together, if it is something that can feasibly allow for it, I'll try to make the size difference a little bit more accurate.
Depending on the piece, the way I'll vote. Because, honestly, I think this one was just done just right. Especially for the scene itself.
Well, thank you.
Like I said, it makes the piece much better having them closer in scale.
And I am absolutely always willing to do edits on any piece that I've been paid to do. It doesn't bother me in the least. Just make sure you ask me to make the edits before you tell me that it's approved and move on to the next phase.
Yes.
Do you have any other questions, concerns, commentary, or anything like that for the moment?
Nope, just thanks for your work, and I'll be bugging you again later. You have the unfortunateness of that.
I look forward to it. Feel free to send me a friend request and I'll be happy to converse with you in the future. In the meantime, I do appreciate you both being here today. It's been an absolute pleasure working with you. You both have really adorable characters, and I greatly enjoyed working on this piece. It was a lot of fun. There were a lot of really cool effects, and I was able to try a few new things. So overall, I'd say this was a really great experience, and I appreciate it and look forward to working with you both in the future.
And I look forward to working with you again, Fenni.
Thank you very much. You guys have a great day.
You too.
That's how I know that I'm unstoppable. I have a dream, that's all I need. I'll make it happen with some work and belief. Know what I want, so I'll take it on. I've made mistakes, but mistakes make you strong. Let's break it down for a minute. I want the crown, I'm gon' get it. You hear me loud, man, I'm winning. Yeah, Charlie Sheen will be grinning. These ladies know that I'm sinning, and this is just the beginning. I'm closing in the night inning. There ain't no point in resisting. Living life like a dream, live it right, that's the thing. Every night got a team, I've been tied to the scene. Out on stage, here I'm screaming. Okay, it's a dream, and I pray as a team. One day it'll be me. If I want it, then I'll get it. Head down, don't regret it. Push myself to the limit. If I play it, then I win it. I'm just saying, I'm just living visit, have no shame, I admit it. Looking right at me to see if I succeed, to see if I believe. They're looking up to me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now. Swear to God, man, I'ma make it soon. Silence all the haters as they see us making moves. I do what I want, so I got nothing to prove. Staying motivated, teaching others what to do. I'm staying focused, my mind is open. They start to notice that I'm in motion. There is no potion, you're not just chosen. It takes devotion to stay composed, man. Never stop, there ain't no time to fall. Try to live, get it all. You got one life to ball. Thinking big, never small, cause you gotta want it all. When you finally get that call, you get ready, take it on. Need a handout, I already stand out. Starting to advance now, ready to expand now. You don't have a chance now, cause we're in demand now. Make it by the grand now, feeling in command now. They're looking right at me to see if I succeed, to see if I believe. They're looking up to me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now, best of me now, best of me now, best of me. They want the best of me now. Yeah, I don't believe in destiny, I just do what's best for me. Don't listen to my enemies, they're just full of jealousy. Yeah, this legacy, you gon' see what's left of me. You gon' see success in me, you ain't seen the rest of me. I just wanna be the best at what I know, better than the rest, just watch me grow. Put me to the test and watch me go. This is my quest, I'ma make it known. They call me obsessive, oh I know. Call me selective with my notes, call me aggressive with my flow. Call me offensive even though Joe, I ain't gonna lie, life's tough. Try to get by, life's rough. Try to do it right, it's not enough. Even though you try, you still mess up. But I'm still gonna fight for what I love. Still gonna die for what I love. Still gonna try, I won't give up. Still gonna fight until I've won. They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left. And I'm not quite there yet, but those words they'll regret. Cause I've got something left and I'm not giving in. I will not let them win, I won't stop till the end, no. never stopping searching, yeah, it's burning. All this passion hurts me. I took action working, writing down these words. No, I'm not okay, I just wanna be something. I don't wanna be nothing, living all alone. No, I'm not alright, I'm just barely getting by. But I'll tell you I'm just fine, so you leave me alone. They say I'm way too obsessed and I've got nothing left, and I'm not quite there yet, but those words they'll regret, cause I've got something left and I'm not giving in. I will not let them win, I won't stop till the end, no. The wind is blowing through her hair. We like to head out on the road, and you know we don't really care, cause we're just doing what we want. She likes it when I treat her good. She likes it when I treat her bad. She likes to travel all around. I take her everywhere and back. Yeah, oh, you fucking with the man, girl. You throw it right back, no, I like that. I'ma bite back, you know I've become a fan, girl. The way you throw back like a Kodak, girl, you own that. Cruise around without a plan, girl. We'll never go back, girl, you know that. You were so bad, let's just spend a couple grand, girl. You know you're fucking with the man, girl. Yeah. Oh, you could've been a good girl, but instead you chose a real world. Yeah, you've always been a savage. Oh, you've always been a bad chick. I don't care if you got issues. Daddy left, but I'm with you. So come with me and never look back. We're living life like a badass. Oh, you could've been a good girl, but instead you chose a real world. Yeah, you've always been a savage. Oh, you've always been a bad chick. I don't care if you got issues. Daddy left, but I'm with you. So come with me and never look back. Yeah. Life like a badass. Cruising PCH with the top down, drop down, headed nowhere fast, never stop now, not now. We ain't slowing down, never knowing that. We're just headed south, what it's all about, never out of doubt, yeah. She be sitting shotgun, she a hot one, in the hot sun, crop top on, I'ma hop on, every single day, head a different way, never stay in place, don't care what they say, we gon' do it anyway. Always by my side, oh, we're living life right, every night we just drive by, cruising high life, we're alive, not just getting by, not just letting life pass right underneath the side, grab it real tight, okay, every day is a new day, in a new place, rent a new space, see a new face, in a few days, move a new way, to a new state, that's great, rent an estate for our next day. Oh, you could've been a good girl, but instead you chose a real world. Yeah, you've always been a savage. Oh, you've always been a bad chick. I don't care if you got issues. Daddy left, but I'm with you. So come with me and never look back. We're living life like a badass. Oh, you could've been a good girl, but instead you chose a real world. Yeah, you've always been a savage. Oh, you've always been a bad chick. I don't care if you got issues. Daddy left, but I'm with you. So come with me and never look back. We're living life like a badass. You don't wanna fuck with me, don't wanna test your luck with me, cause if you try to fuck with me, I'll take all your body parts to a fucking graveyard, 6 feet under. I'm ostracized and traumatized by everything. I'm not alright, I'm lost inside, and anything I say you better listen up closely. Mostly, I'm the one and only, bring it home slowly, hand your boy the trophy, patience is holy moly. I got him hating on me like Michael hates Toby, force Obi-Wan Kenobi, force-fed baloney by phonies. Just wanna rule the world, call me Mr. Steel Girl. Easy gave me the referral, now he's worried about a jail. Yeah, coming out strong, I've been here for a long time. Started off online, finish off all time. They can call me crazy cause I rap like I got rabies. I'm confident, not lazy, and I'm dominating lately. She want me like some pastries, I'ma give it to these ladies like I'm Hefner in my 80s. Still I'm pushing up daisies. Don't wanna fuck with me, don't wanna test your luck with me. Cause if you try to fuck with me, I'll take all your body parts to a fucking graveyard 6 feet. Don't wanna fuck with me, don't wanna test your luck with me. Cause if you try to fuck with me, I'll take all your body parts to a fucking graveyard 6 feet. I can taste it, I'm fading. Why am I still waiting? What are y'all debating? It's really irritating. You hear what I'm saying? Fear got him shaking. You won't ever find a fucker like me in the making. Bite me and you'll break him. Your teeth will be vacant. I don't need to be patient, man. I breed entertainment from the streets, not the basement. Oh, see, I've been baking like your mama's casserole. She makes me after turn on the radio. When you hear some shit, your throat all slit. If you don't post this, and I won't be missed. Hell no, I'm pissed. I'm the only rapper in this game worth shit. I go it on my own, don't need nobody's help. I do it all alone, I'ma do it by myself. All these lyrics on my own, you won't put me on the shelf. Every punch that I throw, I can send your ass to hell. Better run, bitch, now with me. Don't wanna test your luck with me. Cause if you try to fuck with me, I'll take all your body parts to a fucking graveyard 6 feet. Don't wanna fuck with me, don't wanna test your luck with me. Cause if you try to fuck with me, I'll take all your body parts to a fucking graveyard 6 feet underground.
And there you have it, folks. Mako and Sokajin, both very lovely customers and a lot of fun to work with. I hope you've all enjoyed the video, and thank you so much for watching if you've made it this far. Last video's question of the week was, who is your favorite video game character and why? And the top response is listed here on the screen. This week's question of the week is, if you had the opportunity to meet any fictional character you wanted, who would it be and why? Leave your responses below for a chance to have your answer featured on the end of the next video, and if you like what we're doing here and enjoy our content, don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to my channel and notifications, and share this video with your friends. This has been Fenni with FrozenOver Studios, signing off.